Today is July 5th, 2025. Last night, outside my work, there were several groups of different people running their mouth. And outside my apartment, the guy behind all this showed up. I could hear him talking to a guy. The one that's framing Judge Timothy Ludick, Judge Stephen, and the Portage County Sheriff's, that attorney's office, where the Louisville police were outside my apartment with some lady, May 30th, 25. Said they found the original case and said her ex-husband hired two men on his own. One said that he was an attorney, so it made it legal what they did. No, it don't. It makes it worse illegal. I know, because they held a license and they know better. Where, in the beginning of the case, these people impersonated FBI agents, they impersonated the Portage County Sheriffs, they impersonated a retired Judge Pete from the Ravenna Courthouse, friends with Ludick, allowing him to get away with crimes, him and Judge Stephen. And the Portage County Sheriffs were helping him because they were friends with Ludick. He didn't know anything about this. Investigators showed up last year, said that they went to Judge Ludick and asked him. He didn't know anything. And they said it made his stomach turn the thought somebody used his name to get away with crimes. Said attorney's office, framing that judge. Last night, outside my client's, I could hear him talking. I told you Judge Ludick and I are friends. What did you say? That's him. Okay? He said, I went to Judge Ludick in her truck and saw me money. I explained to him what's going on. He signed a court order, signed it over to us. No, he didn't. He'd go to federal prison for that. Stealing $10 million from the government. I explained to him that John came to me, asked me to take care of Melissa and the kids. No, he didn't. He told Melissa to find her own way in life. Figure it out herself. He's my kid. That if she was going to pull that mean stunt of hiding in his house, sneaking in his house, hiding, and wait for him to come out of the bathroom, lunge at him screaming, so it startles him and he shoves her, something screaming and lunging at him, laughing, now I got you. And I'm arrested for domestic violence. Lost his kids. Had to bail herself out of jail, pay fines for her mean stunt. And then when he needed me to help him, I couldn't afford to help him. That he needed a reliable name to pick those kids up from school. And I told him I don't get off the first job, let alone the second. And I made it barely enough to pay for my apartment. If I helped him, I'd lose my apartment. And I couldn't afford to help him, and I was sorry. And he's like, but Mom, if you don't help me, and I don't have a reliable name to put on that court paper to pick up my kids, I'll lose them forever. I said, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. I barely make it now. He ended up losing his kids. Eventually moved to Florida. Comes up and sees them a couple times a year. Remarried to a beautiful woman. Looks very happy. Now, with that bitch stunt that cost him his children, and now he was even complaining how many thousands of dollars he has to give Melissa for child support now because he makes big money. What do you think he would say to that bitch? That is an electrical design engineer. That makes 95 to 145,000, and then gets about 30 grand in child support from him a year. The woman that makes what? Anywhere from 120 to 180,000 a year. He'd tell her to figure it out on her own. You want to pull that bitch out and take the kids away from me? You figure out how to support them yourself. He wouldn't ask anybody to help her. Matter of fact, he'd be mad at him. Because it'd be helping someone take his kids away from him. See how much that man's lying? That guy said, well, Judge Ludick, we explained how mean she was to her children. And so he signed all her Tracheostomy money over to us. And I still have a ton of it left. Where he's been blowing at us out. He stole from the government? Trying to frame Ludick? Ludick didn't sign nothing. That would be a federal crime. The guy said they went to her kids' pediatrician and there was never any sign of any abuse. Nobody would ever say a word to her. Oh, that don't mean nothing. Oh, it means everything, honey. You have to have medical proof. And like Dr. Haben said, I never had to worry one time about you abusing your children, them being mistreated or not well, being well taken care of. The only one I worry about in that house is you, Karen. You come in here with bruises. You cannot hide abuse. Children that are being abused are underweight. Injuries that don't make sense. And then you can see the trauma in their face. My kids were normal height, normal weight, will look you in the eye, smile, and talk your ear off. They were normal, happy children. You have to have medical proof somebody was being abused, and there is none. Because they were happy, well taken care of children. The bitch move of having somebody break in and drug me up and tell me to say that horrible stuff, laughing in my face, you did it. I want you to think about that. Laughing in my face, you did it. Where you had bruises before throwing up, it infected. It was us. We had drugged you and told you to say this. We had drugged you and told you to say that. We photoshopped all our lives. Remember 18. So where the dirty Louisville police and that lady on May 30th, 25, we looked up the case. They said her ex-husband hired 2 men on his own. One said he was an attorney, so it made it legal. No, it don't. It makes divorce illegal. Where on June 25th, 25, Royal King in New Philly, the investigators working the case, looked it up. It was some attorney's office on their own. Thought they could have her drugged for fake confessions, photoshopped and framed in their own stalking tapes, and then have her drugged, beat, and raped under drugs. And it was just some attorney's office doing it to her. Now, then he's on, I told Judge Ludick how mean she was to her children. He understood. I told you we're friends. Do you know there's conflict of interest? They can't touch anything for friends or family. Do you know there's a law called the 14th Amendment? No money can be seized, but due process of the law. And the, 7th Amendment? That takes a jury trial, not a judge. It makes it illegal for a judge to sign something over. It has to be an impartial jury trial. Ninth Amendment, no one can take it right away. You want to play? And my children are almost 40 years old. I may not look it, but I'm 58. I'm almost 60. I may pass for my 40s, but I'm almost 60. And that guy's like, I heard she was mean to those kids when she took them to the dentist. Yeah, she really told them off. Oh, yeah. I told them off, but I wasn't mean to them. You know what love is? Love is correcting somebody when they're wrong. Having enough courage to say something. You don't love somebody if you don't correct them and you don't make them grow within being a person. It's teaching them how to survive in life and how to take care of themselves. That's not being mean. That's being an adult. And me snapping at Tyler and telling him he was being rude and arrogant for smarting off to me, because he's like, you already repeated it yourself once. I don't want to hear it. I said, don't you talk to me that way. Do you know if I would have talked to my grandmother like that, my dad would have slapped me across the face. Do you know if my boys would have talked to my mom like that, Dave would have spanked them. It's coming down to that. Me looking at him, telling him he's being arrogant and rude. I told him, I said, I'll tell you what. You don't need to talk to an adult like that. And I'll tell you what, you need to grow up. You go to work, your boss will repeat itself 10 to 12 times, and you will sit there and take it. Or you won't have a job, and you'll be fired the first day. And you will learn not to be rude and arrogant to people. See, if you don't teach your kids social manners, they won't know them. See, I've been saying stuff to Danny about correcting them, where he's coddled them like they're 2-year-olds, spoiled 2-year-olds. And that's exactly what I told Tyler. He was acting like a spoiled 2-year-old. He didn't get his way to have a mat fit. He's a grown man that Uncle Josh took Flora before she was 6 to get her teeth cleaned. And then would have fillings done. And she's a little girl in ponytails. And I can guarantee Brielle in ponytails has been to the dentist and had her teeth cleaned. Because Uncle Josh makes sure they go. And you look pathetic. That a little girl in ponytails can get her teeth cleaned. And you want to whine and cry. You can't handle it. You're a grown man. See, there's a little bit of thing called tough love and making people grow up. And realize you have to face your fears. See, what would you rather me do? Coddle them. It's okay, you don't need to get your teeth cleaned. You're scared, it's okay. You got gingivitis all through your gums and you lose all your teeth, but that's okay because you're scared. No, you face your fears and get that shit off your teeth. Just like Daniel, he said, I had he had a couple broken teeth from his I can't even think right now. He had molars coming in the back. And they came in crooked. And they went into the other teeth and broke them. He was having migraines. He was in pain. Had to have an oral surgeon cut those broken teeth out. You know, he told me, he said, I feel so much better. Now that I got would you rather him get an abscess in his gums, sepsis, and die because he was afraid to go to the dentist? Coddle him till he dies? No, you tell them you need to get it done. It could cost you your life. Where the dentist told them, now they got the crap off their teeth, now that I got them cleaned now too. You don't keep brushing your teeth, got gingivitis, your gums are so infected. You could actually lose all your teeth. Went out and bought them electric toothbrushes again. But that's being mean, make them learn to take care of themselves. No, that's being an adult teaching someone. See what I mean? That's not being mean. That's being direct. Just like Daniel don't want to cut his toenails, where he said he didn't want to get his temps. He's afraid to. I looked at him, I said, you're being silly. I said, you know how you conquer your fears? Little by little. And realize the only thing that's making you afraid is yourself. I said, it's just like you not wanting to cut your toenails because you're afraid. I said, that's silly. And you're being stupid. You have no feeling in your toenails. You just cut them off and stop being stupid. You're letting it grow into your foot, and then you're going to end up losing one of your toes. See, that's not being mean. That's being direct and telling them they are causing bodily harm. And the consequences for their action. That's what love does. It protects and it teaches. It doesn't coddle and let someone do something wrong, so they end up dying or maimed. See, that's where I told Daniel, you have to get your attempts. You have to get your license. In a year, you'll be out of high school. How are you going to support yourself? He's like, I'm scared to death to drive. I said, you know, you conquer your fear. You get your temps, and we start in an empty parking lot. And that you learn to maneuver the car, how to use the gas and the brake. And then when you finally get comfortable with a parking lot, we do back roads. Small allotments. Until you get used to it. Then you go to bigger roads and then bigger. Then I'll put you in a driver's ed course where they'll teach you more. See, love teaches for someone to take care of themselves. You know that old saying about, what was that old saying about, you can give somebody a fish and they'll feed them for a day, but you teach them how to fish, they'll be able to eat forever. You have to teach your children how to survive in this world, how to take care of themselves, how to have manners, and how to conquer their fears. You can't coddle them like they're spoiled 2-year-olds and say they can hide from reality the rest of their life and make them handicapped. You get what I mean? You have to teach them how to survive. That life is hard, life is rough. And I'll tell you what, John is my son, and he'd be mad. He would be furious. Somebody using his name to steal money from Melissa after her stealing his children from him. He'd be saying, don't you dare give her a dime. She needs money, you tell her to go get a second job. She wants to steal those kids and make me give her child support. She already makes the $95,000 to $145,000 without that $30,000. She has a ton of money. She wants something that expensive, you tell her to go get a second job. She thinks she can do all this on her own by stealing the kids from me and doing that horrible stuff. You tell her to go make it on her own. See, he's my kid. He'd be furious somebody using his name. Where that guy was out there lying on him. That guy told him, said they went to her kids' pediatrician. They said there was never any sign of any abuse. Oh, that don't mean anything. It means everything. You have to have medical proof somebody was abused, and there is none. Police reports, investigations, you have nothing. Like Dr. Haven said, they were very well taking care of children. Normal height, normal weight, no weird injuries, and they look you in the eye, smile, and talk your ear off. And trust me, they still will do it today. They were chatterboxes, drove you nuts. They had so much to say. My mom said, I think they like the sound of their own voice. They never shut up. I know. I love my kids, but they're grown men. They're 40 years old. They're all almost 40 years old. You do realize John's 41. Josh is 39. $38. And Danny's 36. I want you to think about that. Because John was born in 84. Josh was born in January of 87. And Danny was born in October of 88. Get the idea. My children are old. Dear God, my ex-husband, 66 years old. I want you to start thinking about all this crap. But that guy that was framing Ludick was outside, framing him that he stole $10 million from the government. See, there is no quarter to sign over that kind of money to anybody. He's trying to frame him for $10 million for that. You get the idea? He's so full of shit. He's the one where they said that attorney's office was taking payoffs for men to break in and rape her. And they were laughing a week ago that attorney's officer had us drugged and told us to say that. See, that's all they got, is a roofie. Sexual predators preying on people in their homes. Setting up body cameras, stalking them. Selling kiddie porn of little kids going potty. Having men break in people's homes and the victim don't know they're there. They walk out of the room to go to their bedroom, to the bathroom. They walk up and slip something in their drink and go hide again. Or break in and stab the person with a date rape drug. And the person has no memory. Have bruises all over and throwing up, severely infected. And the only thing that had happened is they took a shower before they went to bed. Or took a drink out of a drink. And the room went dizzy and black. And what on earth happened to me? Go to the doctor, what on earth is going on? I kept thinking, if that idiot I was married to was beating on me, why am I not waking up? Here they're drugging me and telling me to say stuff and Photoshop coercing. In their own perverted little drug scam. See, all they have is a roofie. Where they admitted years ago they drugged me and told me to say it before. Never seen her talk to anybody. Predators breaking in, drugging up women. Tell them to say stuff. Photoshop shower scenes and their stalking tapes. Then run around telling you they can steal from a victim that they victimized. And they can steal everything they have because they drugged them up. And told them to say it in their stalking tapes. And then had them photoshopped in their stalking tapes. Or Melissa's documented me games to pretend nobody went to the hospital. She didn't make it up till the FBI case. That's why that agent didn't mention it. Boy, are the police or the FBI? The police or the FBI? All both. Imagine they caught her lying, pulling that cheap stunt during their case. Telling that she was friends with Auntie Shaw. telling the kids a lie, and the kids got tape stating that they made everything up. They were games of pretend. They made sure everybody knew. Because they sold a login on Thanksgiving of 18, illegally booked house. That they made everything up, and they were games of pretend. Nobody went to the hospital. No police were called. The police were already there. And they were saying they were lying, and taped their mother telling them a lie. And that they were lying for Auntie Shell and Papa. They announced it in several places, in several departments. You can't just make up something. As a matter of fact, the law is if you tell your child to say it was harmed and it wasn't, it is child abuse. And you go to jail for extortion under child abuse. See, that's where Officer Mark and the other investigators were talking. Melissa could go to jail for involving herself. I'd hate to arrest her. Kids are little. Because you can't say something happened to your kids. And even have your kids pretend it to scare somebody out of something. It's extortion under child abuse. It's mental abuse. Why don't we just write it up that her and the kids were showing off for Dave's new girlfriend so we don't have to arrest her? See, you can't just make up something behind somebody's back. Where the FBI had a huddle with the police, why are they having those kids make that shit up? Well, they're just trying to scare her into giving up the house. That's it. We interviewed her whole family. They spoke highly of her. Right after Thanksgiving of 18. You get an idea? She could have went to jail. And where they keep saying she's saying something now, her kids never went to the hospital. There's no pictures of injuries. No police were called. They're jokes. They're mean jokes. You can't just make up a lie and steal from somebody. You have to have medical proof. Pictures of injuries and a police report. There's nothing but mean jokes. Like they told an agent out on Alliance last Saturday, her family was sitting around laughing, making everything up behind her back. It was sick. See, that's what the FBI said. Karen's family ought to be ashamed of herself. She's risking her life to get information on these people. So her family won't die. And she's almost died getting information on these people. And they're sitting around laughing, making stuff up on her. They ought to be ashamed. And Melissa's so stupid, she made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid, she didn't check where you were. Like Officer John said, January 12, 22, 4:55 p.m. Where those kids get tape stating, they made everything up. Like Flora said, of course it never happened. Of course it wasn't true. We made it up. They were games of pretend. Yeah. See, there's no medical proof. It just has them saying it. And that attorney's office is offering people millions of dollars. Say something bad about her. Millions and millions of dollars. You know what you're going to get? Nothing. Do you know last year out in Alliance, they said where they were having people say that they got all this stuff off of these people for helping harass her? Everybody got to be talking. Nobody actually got anything. They all lied. When they found out nobody was actually ever getting a dime, and they lied they were passing out all that money for helping harass her, everybody quit because they realized they just scammed everybody into helping out. See, that's what they're doing now, scamming people, offering them millions of dollars. Do you know if you offer a witness even a dime to say a word about someone, even a dime, it's tampering with a witness, and it could be a 20-year sentence. You can never pay a witness. And you do realize the law enforcement for years would make sure they never bought anything big that they couldn't afford, and that there was no other money put in their accounts to make sure they weren't paid off, so you wouldn't go to jail. So they catch you. Got it? But the guy that was framing Ludick, he was out there framing Ludick again for stealing $10 million. That's how not funny that attorney's office is. Framing Judge Timothy Ludick, Judge Stephen, and the Portage County Sheriffs. And it's that guy, Bill from the Freemasons, and some guy named Pete Dave hired on his own. Framing those judges and the sheriffs. The cartel and the Freemasons were impersonating the Portage County Sheriffs and the FBI. Army, Faith Family Church, Stark County Sheriff's seen them impersonating them. And the ones at Faith Family Church work for Judge Peters from Florida. They were the ones in the mall saying that they were drug traders and human traffickers from Florida. They worked for Judge Peters, and they were relocating people to Florida to a resort area. Judge Peters and 100 men was arrested in 22 by the FBI. They got him because of my case. U.S. Marshals used the case in January 20th of 23. They showed up in Worcester, announced themselves to be taking care of it February 14th, 23. They did an 800 people arrest. See, that agent wanted that court order for legal police surveillance with threat and attempt to life, with a court order from a real judge to get these drug dealers confessing their crimes around me. Just said, we don't care what happens to them. Sat back and let them do their crimes, and he got them. The despicable act of some law enforcement turning women and children back over to drug dealers to get the drug dealers. Should never happen, but it's happening. Agent John, I like my money. You already know it's that attorney's office framing those judges. Do you know last year, up in Hartville, I used to do my laundry up there, and there's a little restaurant on the side. Some girl showed up and said they came in and told my dad that someone was framing them. Told him to stay out of it. They said they were selling the login down here to the case. I came down to find out on my own what's going on. Judge Ludick's kids showed up. I don't think it's funny, you framing a Christian judge that quotes scripture. I don't think it's funny you're framing him for vile, evil crimes. And I don't think it's funny you're framing Chief Bruce Winsky or the Portage County Sheriffs that did not know anything about this, or Dave hired you on your own. And I'll tell you what, they didn't give you permission to drug, beat, and rape women in their home and sell kitty porn and human traffic people. You're a fucking liar. Nor do you have a court order from Judge Ludick saying that you get everything. And for you to steal my truck is selling me money. He did not sign it because that is a federal crime. No assets or money can be seized, but due process of the law, you have to be found guilty and sued for it. That's the 14th Amendment. The 7th Amendment, it makes it illegal for a judge to sign it over to you. It has to be a jury trial and only a limited amount. He would end up in federal prison for extorting $10 million from the federal government. You do not have a court order from him whatsoever. Then if you're friends, they're not even allowed to touch anything for a conflict of interest. See what I mean? That attorney's office isn't funny framing everyone. I'm going to upload this.